Hey everybody, Gabby here. What you are about to hear is an unlocked Patreon bonus episode. I spent my last college semester living in Los Angeles, and that was a really important time in my life for many reasons, but it also really showed me just how much I love all things paranormal. And it was then that I sat down and started planning and writing all of the episodes that I've been sharing with you. So, as a thank you to everyone who's been listening so far, I wanted to share this bonus episode about the hauntings of Los Angeles. What these episodes do, aside from just giving us extra time to get together and obsess over all things spooky, is to kind of give a little intro and, behind the scenes look into planning for future seasons. So I was able to go to many haunted places in Los Angeles, but I feel like this is just brushing the surface, and there are so many more stories to be told. So I'll definitely be going back. I also just wanted to give you a taste of what the Patreon is like. I also post exclusive pictures and videos from my trips and investigations. There are 2 different tiers you can join. The first one is called The Haunted, and that's where you're going to get the bonus episodes, the exclusive content, and access to a weekly movie club, which I'm starting this week, and I'll explain more about that later in the episode you're about to hear. And then there is another tier, which I just started, and that is called the Empaths. You're going to get everything from the haunted tier, but I'm also going to be talking more about the creative process, which I just love talking about. I love learning about other people's process. So for me, I'll be talking about writing, answering your questions about podcasting, sharing episode drafts, different things like that. It'll be very conversational and being able to ask me questions. But with both tiers, I just want to get to know all of you a little bit better, share some more about me, and just have our own little community. So if you're interested, if you want to check it out, that will be the first link in the episode description. Be sure to check back on Tuesday for our regularly scheduled programming. But for now, I hope you enjoy Haunted Los Angeles. Hello, everyone. My name is Gabby. I'm the host of Mirrors, Horrors, History, and Hauntings. And welcome to the Patreon. It's been a huge week. The first episode came out on Tuesday. After months of traveling and recording and writing and editing, I am so excited to finally have this project out into the world, to be able to share it with all of you, to hear your feedback. Is a really cool thing for me. And now to be here on the Patreon, I'm so excited, and I wanted to thank all of you for your support. One of my favorite things about the paranormal is the community aspect of it. I'm assuming if you are here, you've listened to the first episode on the main feed, so you'll know a little bit about how I got into paranormal investigating, which, I've been at it for a few years. But it wasn't really until college that I found my creative voice in the horror space. And one moment that I'll remember forever was my first paranormal convention. It was the Warrens Paracon in Connecticut. So the collection of Ed and Lorraine Warren was brought and made into an exhibit. So I got to stand face to face with the real Annabelle doll and see the shadow doll and all of these other really cool artifacts that have very unsettling stories behind them. But on top of being able to do that, I also just met so many people just standing in lines for the exhibit or for different panels and things. I was talking to the people around me. It was just really cool to see all these people come together from all over the world because they all love the paranormal and different horror stories that have been inspired by the paranormal. That's when I first saw how much the community plays a role in all of this. Personally, to see how my family has gotten closer together by sharing in this interest, by going ghost hunting together, and then also the people that I've met by investigating and going to haunted places. I've met people who have never investigated before, who are seeing and holding the equipment for the first time. People who have, been all over the country and the world investigating. It's been really impactful for me to meet new people and have all these conversations. So all of that is to say, when starting this project, it started out just because I love going to haunted places. I have been doing that for years, and I was like, you know what? I want to make this into a project. I want to share my experiences and document these random conversations that just seem to happen so perfectly when I'm in these places. And to have a place to put all of the history and everything that I'm learning about the places. So that's, how it started. But beyond that, I wanted to have that community aspect. I wanted us to be able to just come together and obsess over all things spooky, and that's where the Patreon comes in. We'll have bonus episodes like today's, which will be a bit more unscripted than my main feed episodes, so you'll get to know me a little bit more. There will also be a weekly movie club. I know for me, even though I love the horror genre and write within it, there are so many great horror movies that I have yet to see, and I always have people recommending new ones to me, so we're gonna do a weekly movie club. Every Sunday, I'll post the movie for the week, and if you would like to participate, you can go and have your own cute little movie night, and then come back and share your thoughts with us. And you'll have access to any extra photos, videos, audio recordings, anything from my trips and investigations that don't make it into the main episode will be posted here. Just going along with the whole idea of community, I'm very open to feedback and ideas, so if there's anything that you would like to see on the Patreon, please feel free to let me know. And I constantly have new ideas forming, so there'll be many more exciting things coming on the Patreon. In addition to everything I said, this is also just a huge support for me to keep the show going, to help me get to more haunted places and do more recordings and investigations. So I really appreciate you being here. This is totally optional, so feel free to cancel at any time. I will not be offended. But for now, for you being here, I just want to say thank you so much. In the spirit of getting to know each other a little bit more, I wanted to take you out of Pennsylvania today to the other side of the country, all the way to La La Land, Los Angeles. I recently graduated college. I was a student at Temple University in their film program, and part of the curriculum is you have the choice to do the LA Study Away program. So I went all the way to Los Angeles, and I lived there for a few months as my last semester. While there, I took classes, I interned at a podcast production company, I traveled around, saw all the sites, did all the touristy things, I entered my clubbing era, I went to the beach, I got Erewhon smoothies, I did all the LA things. I was living my best life. I was booked and busy, and I made it a priority to get to a few of LA's haunted places. Which, if you're familiar, you'll know that there are a lot. LA is very haunted. So while I am from Pennsylvania, while my interest in the paranormal started in Pennsylvania, the last few months of my life, and some of the best months of my life, were spent in LA. On top of actually going to these places, I also was writing a paper for one of my classes about the haunted places in LA. So I have a document here with all of the information that I learned, and I just wanted to talk about it today. So first off, let's set the scene. Very early into my time in LA, I was very overwhelmed. I moved there not knowing a single person in any of my classes or at all. I was there on my own in a whole new state, new city, living on my own for the first time. So that in itself was a big change. And then also, being in these really creative spaces that were intimidating and trying to find my own voice and my place in that, it was a lot. And it ended up being a really great thing for me. But at first, it was very overwhelming. I also had this whole thing with driving. I mean, the LA traffic is no joke. And I was just so overwhelmed by the thought of getting in my car and going anywhere. So I sat down on my laptop one day and I went on and booked an investigation on the Queen Mary. I was like, you know what? Now you have something on the calendar. You have to get out. You have to go sit in traffic and drive to Long Beach, and you're going to the Queen Mary. I've wanted to go to the Queen Mary for as long as I can remember. It's been on every ghost hunting show that I've watched. By the way, I like go to sleep watching Ghost Hunters or some sort of paranormal YouTube channel or something. So yeah, that's a fun fact about me. But I've seen content about the Queen Mary for years, and I've always wanted to go. So I put it on the calendar, and one Friday night, I finished all my internship work for the day, got in the car, and drove to Long Beach. Because I was worried about traffic, I got there like 3 hours before I even needed to be there, and I wasn't sure if I was just gonna end up like sitting in my car or what was gonna happen. But I was able to actually go on the ship, and they were like, you can just, walk around, explore while you're waiting for the investigation to start. Which I was like, all right, that sounds amazing. So I got on the ship. I was just in awe of the fact that I was there at this place that I've dreamt of going to for so long. I immediately went to the gift shop to get some stuff. And then I asked if there was a place to get coffee because I need my caffeine. I'm not great at staying up late at night. So I was like, where can I go get a coffee? And they were like, if you go out and look to the left, you'll see this sign that says coffee and it closes in like 10 minutes. You should probably hurry. So I go out and I find the sign, and in front of me is just this mass of people. Like, this ship was so busy, which makes sense. There's restaurants on board. It's a popular tourist destination. I'm sure there's other ghost hunters there. There was a lot of people, to the point where I couldn't even get to the coffee because I could not get through. There was just this massive group of people all gathered in this one spot. So I was like, all right, I'll just, guess I'll just stand here and wait till I can get through to even get to other parts of the ship. I was just kind of trapped there. And then all of a sudden, these doors opened, and all of these people went into a room. I guess they were there for some sort of private event or something, but they all went into this room, and the door shut, and suddenly the ship was so quiet. The coffee place was closed by then, so I didn't get my coffee, but I was like, you know what, whatever. I was walking around, and I felt like I was the only person on the ship. For the 3 hours that I was just walking around by myself, I think I passed 2 other people, which was like 2 girls that were together, and I even heard them say, like, is she here by herself? Like, I was in my own world, walking around by myself on the ship. I think it was a full moon that night, so the moon was just beautiful in the night sky over the water. I'm walking around on the deck. I did the whole like Jack and Rose Titanic thing on the end of the boat, even though I didn't have a Jack with me, but it's fine. Yeah, I was just in awe. And then I went down into one room, which I later learned was part of the infirmary. And that's when I realized that even though I was alone, I didn't feel like I was alone. I felt like there were just people watching me and following me, no matter where I was. Which makes sense, because if you are unfamiliar, the RMS Queen Mary was an ocean liner from 1936. It looks very much like the Titanic. Obviously, there were lots of people on board the ship throughout its history. And now it is docked in Long Beach as a hotel. I've heard other people say this too, that the Queen Mary just has an undescribable energy. And that was definitely what I felt. It's like just going down these long, very symmetrical hallways that look like they're from The Shining. Going down these hallways and just feeling like there's people all around you, even though there's not, was really strange. Around midnight, I started my investigation, which was with the Grey Ghost Project that was recently launched on the Queen Mary. The goal of this project is to take guests on professional paranormal investigations, document unexplained activity, and debunk any myths that have been perpetuated by those ghost hunting shows that I watch every day. The ship was completely empty for a long time, both because of COVID and also just kind of an uncertainty of what the future of the ship would be. Like I said, it's back to operating as a hotel, but there was a time when it was empty. And the Grey Ghost Project kind of emerged as a way to document all of the activity and energy as people were coming back to the ship. And something really cool about this project is that we were given exclusive access to the first class swimming pool, which is known as one of the most haunted spots on the ship and is like the top of most ghost hunters' bucket lists. I did not anticipate having access to this pool, but the fact we were able to, I was just like, I was so excited. So we were led by the resident paranormal investigator named Rebecca Knight. She was awesome. And she took us into the pool area carrying an armful of like stuffed animals and toy cars, hoping to communicate with the spirit named Jackie. For years, there's been a story about a little girl named Jackie who drowned in the pool, and many have claimed to see or hear her. The name Jackie has also come through a lot on the spirit box, which is the piece of ghost hunting equipment that scans radio frequencies and spits out words that, according to investigators, are ghostly voices. Hearing the name Jackie and seeing this little girl has really perpetuated the story that there was a girl named Jackie who drowned on this ship in this pool and is now haunting it. So as Rebecca was setting out all of the toys and the equipment that she had, she explained that the Queen Mary kept impeccable records. And there was never any records that point to the fact that a little girl named Jackie drowned in this pool. There were people that died on the ship, but not a little girl named Jackie. So Rebecca shared her theory that Jackie haunts the pool not because she died there, but because it was where she spent some of the best days of her childhood. The pool itself now is pretty run down. I mean, the main reason people can't go in there very much is because of structural concerns. But standing there, you can imagine how it looked in its prime. The ship is gorgeous, and I'm sure for people that had the opportunity to go on it, it was some of the best days of their lives. So Rebecca thinks that Jackie just is there, and her spirit is still there because she loved it there and had a great time there and wants to be there in the afterlife, which is something I didn't think about that as much. We talk about a lot of these haunted places being places that something really traumatic happened, and because of that, these souls feel tied to that place. That might have not been the case for Jackie. And throughout the episode, I'm sure you'll see that some of these hauntings could be because of the great memories that occurred there. Also, in the Queen Mary, we got to go into room B340, which is another spot that all of these ghost hunting shows have really focused in on as being just a hotspot of activity. There's stories of people dying in the room and even reports of demonic energy. Again, Rebecca kind of debunked that and said there's no reports of anybody dying in that room, but it could be really haunted because so many people go in there believing that it is really haunted that it's almost manifested an energy there. Throughout our different stops on the investigation, everyone was given the opportunity to do the Estes method, which is when you use the spirit box, but there are two people that have headphones connected to the spirit box, and they are also wearing a blindfold, so sensory deprivation is used to help people really tune in to the spirit box and get into an almost meditative state. In the meantime, everyone else is asking questions. And the intent is that the words coming through the spirit box will respond to those questions without any influence because the people with the headphones can't hear the questions. So we did that throughout the night, and I was able to go under in the Estes method in room B340. So I, sat on the bed and everyone started asking questions. I never really got to know what the questions were, but what kept coming through was this woman saying help. And there was long spaces of time in between, and it was scanning the radio frequencies, but it was always the same woman's voice that would come through and say help. And I think it happened 4 or 5 times. So that was really strange, and I don't know who that spirit would have been, but it does relate to what Rebecca was saying, that people might have manifested different entities there by going there and talking about different deaths and dark things happening in that space and believing so deeply in its hauntings. So now let's talk about the Millennium Biltmore. Again, another place that I've heard of for a long time, and it's mostly famous for being haunted because of its connections to the Black Dahlia. On January 15th, 1947, a young actress named Elizabeth Short was found murdered and mutilated. Her death was entirely unprecedented and just shocked people. She had a smile like cut into her face. It was just a very gruesome murder. Elizabeth was a young, aspiring actress in Los Angeles. She was gorgeous and just, this bright young light for people. And then to see how she died, it was shocking. It was shocking. Elizabeth was last seen a few days prior in the Millennium Biltmore lobby using the phone. So it's one of, if not the only tangible pieces of the Black Dahlia case, which is still a cold case and has not been solved. And because of that, it's where a lot of people go to try to connect with Elizabeth Short's spirit, to discover new clues about her murder. Lots of people have reported seeing a woman in a black dress, which is the Black Dahlia's signature color, wandering the halls of the 10th and 11th floor. And the bartenders have reported seeing unexplainable shadows move past them. Beyond the Black Dahlia murder, the Biltmore is also really famous because it was at the center of a thriving entertainment hub in downtown LA in the 1920s. Since its opening in 1923, the Biltmore hosted 6 presidents and numerous celebrities, such as Charlie Chaplin and Gloria Swanson. It's been the filming location for several films, TV shows, music videos. Taylor Swift shot her Delicate music video there. It was the location of many awards ceremonies, including the Academy Awards. So it's a really significant part of Los Angeles history and the entertainment industry. Which, going off of what Rebecca said earlier about these places being haunted because they're connected to great memories. Yes, there is a dark side to the Biltmore hauntings, but it could also be haunted because of the residual energy of the joy, the pride, the creativity expressed within the hotel. I booked a room for the night. I stayed by myself at the Biltmore, and I was in the lobby taking pictures when one of the guards came up behind me and yelled at me for having my camera out. I guess you're only allowed to take pictures on your phone. So I hid in a little corner and took pictures anyway. Because that lobby, it's just, you have to see it to really grasp, but it's so beautiful. The ceiling has all of these really intricate designs on it, inset with gold. It is unbelievable standing there and looking up at the ceiling and knowing all of the things that have happened in the Biltmore. The lobby is also significant because Elizabeth Short, the Black Dahlia, was often there. She was known by the staff because she took Spanish lessons in the lobby. So I sat there for a while because you could feel her there. There is this electricity in the air of that place. And I just wanted to sit in that lobby for a little bit. And I spent most of the night then in my room doing research about the Biltmore and writing this paper. But around 3 a.m., I went out into the hallways. I went upstairs to the 10th and 11th floor to see if I could, spot that woman in a black dress that lots of people have seen. And every time I got up to a new floor, I ran into a staff member, which they didn't say anything about me being out in the hallway or whatever, but it was just strange. It always felt like someone was watching me, but because there were people, there were just people all over the place. And I guess that's because, lots of people go there to explore the paranormal. So I felt kind of on edge everywhere I went. It was a strange night, but still really cool to be there. And I liked having that moment in the lobby to just sit there and really take it all in. All right, now let's talk about the Comedy Store. This was one of my favorite nights in LA. We went to West Hollywood. We started out our night getting espresso martinis at the Sunset Tower. And then we went to the Comedy Store for a comedy show. And aside from just a girls' night out, going to a comedy show and getting to laugh for a little bit, I wanted to go there because the Comedy Store is infamously haunted. Since opening on the Sunset Strip in 1972, the Comedy Store has launched the careers of some of the most well-known, accomplished entertainers, including Robin Williams, Jay Leno, and Michael Keaton. The comedy shows now that are offered feature established names as well as up-and-comers, and it's, pretty well known to LA locals and tourists alike. But what they might not know is that the building was originally Ciro's nightclub, a celebrity hotspot during the 1940s and 50s. And because of its origins as Ciro's, the building has many ties to the mob. Will Wilkerson opened Ciro's with financial help from infamous mobsters Bugsy Siegel and Mickey Cohen. It's rumored that the mob used the basement of Ciro's to torture and kill those that crossed them. But this dichotomy, this sunshine noir element of Los Angeles, despite its dark and mysterious underside, Ciro's was also a bright, bustling nightclub where you could brush shoulders with celebrities and feel like you belong amongst it all. It has this dreamy Hollywood atmosphere, and now it is the Comedy Store. As the Comedy Store, guests, employees, and performers have claimed to hear demonic-sounding growls and feel overpowering entities in the building. On a 2021 episode of Ghost Adventures, comedian Jeff Ross joined Zach Bagans and his team, and he talked about the experience of feeling his friend and colleague Brody Stevens, who took his own life in 2019. When Jeff Ross began to talk about the funeral service they held for Stevens at the Comedy Store, he was interrupted by unexplained light flickers and technical difficulties. So, these ties to the mob definitely give the building a darkness, but it also could be haunted because of the strong personalities of the Comedy Store that remain there, because it's a place where they brought laughter and positivity and achieved personal success. And going there as a guest to see a comedy show, it's a kind of romantic thought to think that these cherished celebrities could live on in that space and you can feel kind of connected to them. I didn't experience anything paranormal at the Comedy Store. Just the weirdest thing was that we were behind this couple that was all over each other throughout the show. And then at one point I went to the bathroom just because I wanted to, go into more of the Comedy Store. And the girl from that couple came into the bathroom and her eyes were huge. I think she was on some kind of drug, but she leaned into me and she was like, "I'm gonna break up with my boyfriend," and she said it in the creepiest voice, and then went out, and when I went back out, they were making out again. So that was my strange experience at the Comedy Store, but nothing paranormal. All right, next I want to talk about the Chateau Marmont, and I was there a few different times in LA. It is incredibly exclusive. Don't ask me how I got in. My friend Julia wanted to go there for her birthday the first time, and she got us in, and then we went back a few I don't know. But this is the definition of if the walls could talk. There is just this air of secrecy and exclusivity to this place. It really is a castle that you can, when you're driving up Sunset Boulevard, you see it, and it is just unlike anything. And then being in there feels so old Hollywood. Funny story, I saw Kanye West there twice. 2 different times I was there, I saw Kanye West, which, I'm not really a fan, but still, just that goes to show that, anything can happen in the Chateau Marmont, and it really is, a celebrity playground. And because of all this, it is supposed to be very haunted. Been the site of many celebrity deaths, including comedian John Belushi and photographer Helmut Newton. According to the website LA Ghost Tour, many have claimed to hear the clicks of a camera by the pool, and guests have also complained about hearing laughter or glasses clinking together late at night. And when they went to figure out, who was making those noises, there was nothing, no one there. So it's these celebrities that have died there have stayed there because it is a safe space for celebrities. The hotel's slogan is always open, always a safe haven, which it really is for these celebrities, because you can't take any videos or pictures in this building, and it feels very private and exclusive. Even sitting at a table, it's dark, so you can really only see your table, and then you can see Kanye West when he walks behind you, but That's beside the point. It just is like this safe haven for celebrities. So, maybe they have stayed there. All right, the final LA haunted location that we're going to talk about today is one of the most iconic images in Los Angeles. And speaking from experience, no matter how many times you see it, you still get taken aback. I'd be driving down the 101 and I see it, I'm like, oh my God, that's the Hollywood sign. My last full day in LA, we actually hiked up to the Hollywood sign, got as close to it as we could. And it's this beacon of success for creatives in the industry. So as a writer, it just means a lot to me. And I never got used to seeing it. It was just the coolest thing. And I became even more fascinated by the Hollywood sign when I learned that it is very haunted. The entirety of Griffith Park is pretty haunted, which I, want to learn more about in the future. But the Hollywood sign in particular is haunted by the spirit of Peg Entwistle. In 1932, 24-year-old Peg Entwistle scaled the 45-foot H via a service ladder and jumped to her death. She too was an aspiring actress in LA and had recently been cut from 13 Women, which was a movie that she thought would be her big break as an actress. So, feeling hopeless, she climbed Mount Lee in a trance-like state and took her own life. Since Peg's death, numerous people have reported seeing a woman on the H or walking around the surrounding areas of Griffith Park only for her to disappear without a trace. Peg's death is almost cinematic in a way, not just, for the symbolic nature of her jumping off of something that represents success in the industry, but also she was offered a leading role from the Beverly Hills Playhouse the day after she died. So there's just so much unrest in Peg's spirit that she was not able to live out her dreams. It's really sad. I read this quote when researching for my paper from the book by Tom Ogden titled Haunted Hollywood, Tinseltown Terrors, Filmdom Phantoms, and Movieland Mayhem. The quote addresses anyone who might spot Peg's apparition in Griffith Park. It says, "Don't bother calling out or trying to help her, for it's a path the Hollywood sign girl is doomed to repeat for eternity." So there's just this residual energy, this perpetual path being taken up to the Hollywood sign because of how unsettled and unsatisfied Peg's spirit is. It's such a tragedy. And also to know that there's this image that so many people see every day and tourists go there to just see the Hollywood sign. It's this really iconic image and this representation of California. To know that it's haunted, it just feels like there's this secrecy beneath it all. And that goes for all of LA's haunted locations. So that's where I'm going to stop for now. My show is very grounded in place, in actually going to these locations, being in that space, observing it, feeling its energy. It's very much the approach I like to take when investigating. So obviously travel plays a big role in the show. I love to travel, and I believe that no trip is complete without visiting a local haunted place. This will just be kind of behind the scenes of the whole process. Thank you all so much for joining me for this bonus episode and for just listening in general, for being here, for being a supporter of mine. I really appreciate it. I'm so excited for what else is to come with Mirrors. Check back on Sunday. I'll post the first movie of the week. And until next time, stay spooky.